I'm TJ Walker in New York for the Daily National. So who won the Republican debate last night? Well, it was a bit of a mixed bag. No clear-cut winners or losers. No hugely dramatic movement that's going to shape or alter the political terrain. So let's do a rundown of each candidate. First, Newt Gingrich. Now, Newt had some rough patches early in the evening. Anytime he's defending himself and trying to convince people he's not a lobbyist, he's in big trouble. This whole idea of him getting $1.6 million just to be a consultant to a federal entity, it really does not pass the laugh test to most people. So that hurts him. Anytime he's talking about what a celebrity he is and gets to make $60,000 a speech, therefore he's above, petty, grubby lobbying, he looks like a complete idiot. But here's where Newt excels, and he did this very well the second half. Anytime he is just sticking it to the judiciary, liberals, Democrats, Obama, he does a great job. There's nobody better at oozing contempt for liberals and Democrats. And let's face it, there's a huge faction of Republican voters who feel contempt for liberals and Democrats and Obama. And Newt is their man. He does a better job of channeling their emotions than Oprah Winfrey does expressing empathy for housewives. So Newt, even though it wasn't a great night or a clear-cut winning night, it still helped him with some of his core base. Up next, Mitt Romney. Now, Mitt was pretty much his typical Mitt. He didn't make any big blunders, any $10,000 bets that he couldn't cover. But he also didn't really land any strong blows against Newt Gingrich. The worst moment for Mitt was when he was asked by Chris Wallace to defend his charge, the allegation that he was basically a big liberal in regards to gay issues in his past. And anytime you hear Romney backtracking about his entire liberal past and his pro-liberal, pro-choice stances, it does seem a bit disingenuous, and it's a reminder to the 3/4 of the Republican Party, the conservatives who don't like him, why they don't like him. So I don't think Romney hurt himself tonight, but it was a bit of a wash. Next up, Jon Huntsman. Huntsman came out of the gate roaring last night. Very strong attack on the nexus between government and Wall Street, how he would shake things up, stop bailing out banks, and had a good, strong conservative message. It was also populist. It was also courageous. He also had a great line about not turning himself into a pretzel, pandering to special interest groups and Donald Trump. Now that was a great twofer because he was really slamming Mitt Romney for being the pretzel and also slamming Newt Gingrich for pandering to Donald Trump. Unfortunately for Huntsman, he didn't really say anything much of interest the rest of the evening. Now, more and more people are looking at Huntsman because many people fear or they believe that Newt Gingrich will collapse after Iowa and the party's going to have to turn to the next non-Romney candidate. Not a lot of folks left other than Huntsman. So more and more people looking at him. He is still impressing people as intelligent, rational, and competent, but he's not really exciting people. Next up, Ron Paul. Now, Ron Paul got a lot of applause last night. He also had mouths going, people are simply shocked at some of the things that comes out of his mouth, especially regarding foreign policy. He's clearly out of step with most of the Republican Party on some pretty big issues. Now, to me, the most fascinating moment last night from Ron Paul is when he said, oh no, Newt Gingrich isn't guilty of socialism when it comes to cashing in on all this money he's getting from Freddie Mac. He's guilty of fascism. That's right, Ron Paul actually said Newt Gingrich is guilty of committing fascism. Well, boom, right there. Every Democrat, every liberal, every moderate watching that debate instantly fell in love with Ron Paul. Unfortunately for Ron Paul, they can't vote for him in Republican primaries, so it doesn't do him much good. Rick Perry. Anytime Rick Perry can remember his name in a debate, he's viewed as somehow exceeding expectations. There were moments when he came across well, and he did have his soundbite of the night about Tim Tebow, although I think some people might find that disgusting too. But hey, with this crowd, the Tim Tebow references, I think, worked well. Initially, he just seemed, Perry seemed too over-caffeinated, too exuberant. There's something almost Forrest Gump-like about Perry. You just get the sense his medication or drugs or whatever he's on, not quite calibrated the right way. The other problem for Perry is, quite frankly, everybody's written him off at this point. He's seen as too dumb and too anti-gay as to be meaningful. And his recent anti-gay commercial has just blown up in his face and destroyed whatever remaining credibility he had. Next up, Michele Bachmann. Now, she had a good night. She came across forceful, had good, strong, forceful attacks on Newt Gingrich. The problem is nobody cares anymore about Michele Bachmann. The highbrow elements of the party have written her off. The lowbrow, the Tea Party branch, they've written her off. She just doesn't seem credible. It frankly doesn't matter what she does. Lastly, and this is by design, last and least, Rick Santorum. Now, Rick Santorum still just looks and sounds like he is a second-term congressman. Everything out of his mouth sounds like Congress speak. Now, on paper, a guy like Rick Santorum, a guy who has done well in a Democratic state, a guy, couple of terms in Congress, a couple terms in the Senate, someone like that, on paper, should be a strong candidate. He should have been a front runner, at least for 3 weeks at some point in this race. Unfortunately for him, he's still down in single digits. Why is that? Frankly, Rick Santorum has all the charisma of a 3-week-old tuna fish sandwich. I'm TJ Walker in New York for the Daily National.